Good evening to all. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining in today. It is May May 6th of the year 2025. We are live broadcasting to you for you guys from Tijuana, Mexico. This is before we continue to move on with this broadcast, I would like to address, some of the American media, which can you hold on a second? The lighting went away. Can just hold on. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for waiting. A little technical situation that we had right here with the lighting, but we are good now to go. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining in. Now, again, the light. Well, I'm just going to continue to go and continue to broadcast for every single one of you. Although, I see some glitch right here on the bottom, but it's kind of annoying, preparing and having these kind of technical difficulties. But let's continue. Trump wants to send the troops to the country of Mexico to help them combat the organized crime of the cartel. What are my thoughts on this? Now, before I move on to this topic, the American media has been putting on really inexperienced individuals talking about this topic in the American media. And that is kind of frustrating because you see the level of disinformation. It is enormous, the level of disinformation. And because you have nice hair, you have the good looks, you get to spread information that is actually vital and so important in the continent and in the world occurring and talking about what is happening with the level of violence, with the level of the cartel, how they have expanded, and how this is a war. This is a war. And it is a war that is enormous, huge, that is happening in the country of Mexico, which, a lot of people are saying why this violence has escalated. We talked about it and we already predicted this. The violence has escalated because they have decreased the level of trafficking of humans, and that has pivoted and trickled into the cartel fighting an interior war in every city to fight for the distribution and going back to the number one business that is, according to what we know, that is the trafficking of synthetic drugs. There is a comment right here, and I would like to put it on. It says, Oscar, Pam Bundy just announced the arrest of a cartel member and 12 other people on a drug bust, one of the biggest busts ever. No, it's not one of the biggest busts ever. It's actually small. But I will tell you, a lot of people are not, and I will be blunt to say this. A lot of people are not agreeing with what Pam Bundy has been doing in her job. First and foremost, this is not it's constructive criticism, and everybody needs to understand this. Southwest Key Programs, one of the NGOs that has more accusations of abuse and child abuse, Pam Bundy just dropped a lawsuit against them. I don't know why they did that. They have vast evidence and really expandable evidence that they can actually go after these NGOs who have been abusing children, trafficking children, and ultimately they know where they distributed these children. And I don't know why Pam Bundy dropped a lawsuit against one of the biggest, if it's not the biggest, with Catholic Charities, the biggest distributor of unaccompanied minors, and the biggest incentivizer of illegal immigration to the borders. Why they drop it, I don't know. There's a lot of corruption, but that is another topic that I would like to discuss. Now, going back to this main topic, the violence of Mexico. There's a lot of, there's a lot of basically of disinformation in the media of the United States of America of what is actually happening, of what is actually the reality of what is happening in our country of Mexico. Just recently, the president of Mexico has declared that the city of Tijuana, the city that we live, it is the most violent, insecure, with homicide rate in the whole country. This is due to the cartel war that is happening in Culiacán between Los Chapitos and Los Mallitos. This, we actually went over there and broadcast it for every single one of you guys. But why is this trickled into the north side of the city of Tijuana? Because this territory, it is majorly controlled by those two cartels, and they're actually fighting for territory interior in the city of Tijuana. Also, talk about the massive activity that is causing the extraction of human beings, the abduction of the abduction of human beings, and ultimately, not only that, but the kidnappings that have been massively occurring, they're massively occurring into into Mexico. The massive kidnappings of basically of people that they have been kidnapping and kidnapping and kidnapping. The cartels have been kidnapping continuously and constantly. I will address a few comments before I go into the topic. Now, this is a comment says Shanae. Oh, come on, like you don't know why it was dropped. I know why it was dropped. I know why it was dropped. I will leave it to the American public. It is you to judge. Pam Bundy serves under the United States of America. I'm in Mexico. I live in Mexico. The question is, I'm asking why it was dropped to the people that they follow Pam Bundy. I was addressing a comment of Pam Bundy. It says it's top elites in control and they don't care who they get rid of. And yeah, well, it has to do a lot with that. Absolutely. Barbara says, shame on Mexico, President and Biden, Harris, Mayorkas, and Soros in the government that allowed 24 million, 24, no. That's an incorrect number, Barbara. It was not 24. And 300 unaccompanied minors. Well, your government incentivized this to happen. And under the Biden administration, it was where more, the cartel grew 2 times bigger, 2 times stronger on artillery, technology, and also in territory, because of the enormous open border, and the open border policies that everybody was implemented. And now you're also addressing 300 unaccompanied minors. I don't know what is taking so long for this investigation to start under the 300 unaccompanied minors, 300,000 unaccompanied minors. I don't know what is taking so long. What is taking so long? And I'm not, this is constructive criticism. I'm not attacking. This has nothing, if Trump has nothing to do with this, that I believe that he's trying to do things right, and he's absolutely has done the most magnificent and correct job of securing the border. Never in history, it has been a massive decrease like it has done right here. And what it does, the trickle effect and the domino effect, has been that he has saved lives. Where the Darien Gap, where there were thousands that they died, extortion and kidnapping in Central America, kidnapping the borders with Guatemala and Mexico, walking in dehydration on caravans and children dying, kidnapping, extortioning, and by the cartel between the borders of Mexico and the United States. This has decreased into a level that it has never seen before. As a matter of fact, the transit through the Darien Gap has slowed down 99%. You got to be kidding me. So how many lives he have saved because of these border policies? But that doesn't take away the fact that I'm talking to the advisors of Trump. What are you doing? This is supposed to be a priority. The more than 340,000 children supposed to be a priority. Going after these NGOs, it's supposed to be a number one priority. Exposing these progressive mercenary activists that they were involved in cahoots, and they are traitors to your country because they were involved, a lot of them, with the cartel in Mexico. This is supposed to be a priority. What is taking so long? I don't know if the federal judges are blocking this also, but I would like to address the topic that we're talking about. The violence. Donald Trump wants to send troops to Mexico to help to fight the cartels. What is my opinion? It is incorrect. The United States of America and their troops, they, why you want to get involved in a war with your neighbor country? to combat the organized crime of the cartel. That is the responsibility of Mexico. You can force the Mexican government to do so, and you're actually doing it. Why you're doing it? You're exposing them by being corrupt. You're also exposing them by not calling them terrorists. You're also pressuring them by these threat of a tariff. But you need to do more. And what needs to be done? The politicians, the dirty politicians, need to be exposed. Somebody saying, watch Ryan Mata. I already watched him, and I know Ryan, so I say a huge hello to Ryan. The dirty politicians in Mexico need to be exposed. For me, it's nothing new. When you're actually saying, oh, we just extradited a big drug bust with 12 kingpins. I don't care about that anymore. What needs to happen, it is these dirty politicians that they're actually controlling the spider web in Mexico. Those are the ones that they need to be exposed. Those are the ones that they need to be extradited. Those are the ones that they need to be investigated immediately. You don't see no arrests to no dirty politicians, the ones that they're allowing this to happen. Why the United States government is not pressuring more, I don't know. Why the United States government is not investigating El Mayo Zambada, which is actually a drug lord and kingpin, who he knows, who politically he funded to be in position. Why El Chapo Guzman is not actually investigated, I don't know if they're actually doing it or not. But this information needs to be extracted and needs to be exposed to the public, because if this information needs to be exposed to the public, the Mexican government will be trembling right now. And that actual political party that is governing Mexico, that is a socialist political party, will be actually in cahoots right now with the cartel and evidence, and vast evidence, and extremely vast evidence. There's a rise on the right-wing political party in Mexico. You know, now they're being bold, and now they are talking about these topics because they're sick and tired of it. They're extremely being sick and tired of this. And now everybody knows. And what Donald Trump has done with this pressure is that the government of Mexico is being exposed, and it is getting exposed worldwide as what you're not doing anything with the cartel activity and violence that is happening in your country, which it takes me to this. This happened. This is just 1 week, people. What I'm about to show you is the news of 1 week in Tijuana. Just 1 week. I'm not talking about in a month, 2 months, 3 months. This is the reason why the Mexican president has categorized Tijuana as one of the most dangerous city right now with cartel activity and homicides in the whole country. Let's go to number 1. They found a human head just a day ago, and also they have dismembered body parts in different areas in Tijuana. The human head that it was found on the east side of the part of Tijuana. And in the human head that it was found on the east side of the part of Tijuana, there was also a banner that it was left. And the banner was directed to the opposition. It says, esto les va a pasar a todos, que les pase información, o ande con las locuras, o ande con las lacras. El Cerro Colorado siempre ha tenido dueño, atentamente los de casa. What means? It means that this will happen to every single one that is giving out information to the lacras, to the ones that they take advantage of. Who are they referencing to? Possibly the opposition, possibly the government. Nobody knows. El Cerro Colorado is a neighborhood over here on the east side of the city. Says El Cerro Colorado has always had an owner. Yours truly, the ones at home. Or yours truly, also the ones that they control this area. This is actually one of the things that happened during the week. A human head that it was found with dismembered body parts. Now, let's go to the other one that I want to show you right here. And this other one, it is this actually happened also during the week. And they left a corpse wrapped up in a sheet during the week. This was more than 2 weeks ago. They left a corpse wrapped up in a sheet This was on the 13th of April. Let's go to the other one. They found two bodies of two teenagers, 14 and 15-year-olds, that they were dedicating themselves to assault. These two, they were found by a collective group. These collective groups that, as I mentioned before, collective groups are the ones that they are searching for bodies and searching for their family members that they were abducted, extracted, or kidnapped. And the two friends, one is called Federico, 15 years old, and the other one, Sergio, 17 years old. They were found on this neighborhood, and their bodies were decomposed. Both of them, they are being accused of assaulting and robbing in the neighborhoods. But this is the violence that is actually occurring in Tijuana. Also, they executed a couple in the main road of the airport. There's a lot of speculation of this. It was a massive shootout. You see the vehicle right here. It was a Silverado, and this couple was shot in the middle of this road and killed and assassinated. And speculation it is that the cartel was asking for a tax for la mordida or el piso. That is what it's called, and that is the monthly fee for you to continue to work or for you to continue, what for them to continue to tax these people, to tax these business people. This is this is the actual reality of what is happening right now in the part of Tijuana. Another couple that it was shot and killed. There's a comment right here. No one, not even courageous Oscar, faces what Pam Bondi does. Oh my God. Contribute to fight against evil. I'm not defending, and it is called constructive criticism. And you need to admit why she dropped. And I'm just asking this to you: Southwest Key Programs, go investigate what they have done. Why she dropped the lawsuit against Southwest Key Programs? There is so many evidence of children being molested by workers of Southwest Key Programs, and they know where these migrant children are. Why she dropped the lawsuit? Just asking that question. Immediately, people get into their feelings. This is why I get so annoyed when we are talking about factual information. That people get upset. People get annoyed. No, why you are criticizing Pam Bondi? Pam Bondi is a hero. Pam Bondi can be Superman. I'm just asking a question. Why she dropped the lawsuit against Southwest Key Programs? That is an NGO that there's clear and enough evidence that there was a lot of abuse toward children inside of these NGO. And these NGOs were the ones that they basically incentivize and enable this mass illegal migration into the country with the Global Compact on Migration and also with the United Nations. But we already know that. Now, another event that happened, and this is clearly something that is extremely concerning. They're leaving cartel banners with flower funeral arrangements in OXXOs. What is an OXXO? An OXXO, it is like a 7-Eleven store in a neighborhood that is called Playas de Tijuana. The most aggravating thing about this is the cartel is leaving these flower arrangements, and in the cartel banner, it is directed to the chief of police of the part of Playas de Tijuana. So this is a message for her to say, we're coming. And this is a message for her to say, we're watching you. This is how aggravated the situation in our country. There's a war going on right now in the part of Culiacán. Donald Trump wants to send the troops of the United States to Mexico to help. I will tell you, it's not going to happen. Not even if it was a conservative president is going to let the United States troops come into the country of Mexico. It is against the Constitution. But also, the most important thing is, when are you going to do something about it? And why you're not doing nothing about it? And the actual factual situation that we can put as an example, it is not even hypothetical, is what is happening in Culiacán. We just came back from there. 8 months of war between two cartels that have completely terrorized the city, and that the city is a ghost town. The city is a ghost town. The city starts working at 8 o'clock in the morning and closes their operations at 6 o'clock in the evening. There is no life after that. No life after that. This is a cartel war that has been happening for almost 8 months. Why the government of Mexico has not done anything about it? The strategy it is, and they have said it before, let them handle it themselves. So imagine, you're letting the security of the citizens, you're letting the future of your citizens, and you're letting also, not only that, you're letting the children be traumatized and be actually, not only traumatized, but the psychological damage that you're causing on these people, it is extremely aggravating. And the psychological damage that is causing to these children, it is completely irreparable. It is not even going to come back anymore. 8 months of war. Why they haven't stopped it? A lot of things the Trump administration, possibly they know, possibly they don't know. But there's epicenters where it is a complete disaster. There's epicenters where there is a complete disaster. Michoacán, Guerrero, the kidnappings, the extractions, the abductions, the complete war between the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación and the activist groups who are trying to keep them off their neighborhoods. The drone attacks in Michoacán y Jalisco. The complete insecurity in Tapachula, Chiapas. The border with Guatemala, where the cartel of Guatemala is actually having a lot of control of the traffic in synthetic drugs and liquids, and the part of and late at night, at 12 o'clock at night. The actual violence that is actually being shown, as I just showed you right now, the violence has been escalating in Tijuana. It is not a lie. It is evidence. The missing people, the collected groups. There was an extermination camp that it was just found in Jalisco 2 to 3 months ago. Big news, worldwide news, right? Everybody was talking about it. It was called the Auschwitz of Mexico. Hundreds of shoes that were found right there. Clothing, extraction, fragments of bones, bone fragments. And all of this was found right there, right? The government tried to hide it, try to minimize this, and try to say that this was a recruiting camp for the cartel. Look at this. So it's not extermination camp. Let me compose myself and let me fix what I'm saying. It was a recruiting camp. I'm sorry, right? So on that extermination camp, there was a collective group that actually found it. It was called Las Madres Guerreras Luchadoras, Buscadoras. They're warrior moms that they together put up a collective group to search for their family members that they have been kidnapped by the cartel. And they found this extermination camp. After they found it, a couple of the people and leaders of this collective group said, we are going to get killed. It is not too long, and it is not too far away from us getting assassinated or from us getting kidnapped. And from us being abducted or something is going to happen to us. It's not too far away from that. Guess what happened? Not too long ago, she was killed with a family member also. It is a reality. It's more than, right now, it's more than clear than ever that the government of Mexico, it is more lean to be an anarcho government. And a lot of people are going to say, we knew this. Yeah, you knew this. Yeah, you knew it. Everybody knew it. Every Mexican citizen knows about this. And we know exactly how this mechanism and these policies, which they have been pushing the Mexican government to basically talk about this, and try to do something about it. The Mexican government has been pushed to say, you know what? The White House was bold to write a letter to say the Mexican government is in cahoots with the cartel. The White House. Never in history that was written. Never in history it was written that the White House was basically putting together a letter to say the Mexican government, it is in cahoots with the Cartel of Mexico. It was unbelievable. And not even that, the Mexican president had to come out in the morning conferences and explain the letter and explain why she believes that, there's no dirty politician, and because she's protecting these people. It goes more far than this. It goes beyond, what the Trump administration, they're delivering them this. The statistics, what the Mexican president has been delivering to the Trump administration to make it look like we're doing something. It is the dismantling of laboratories. That these laboratories have been, basically laboratories of fentanyl from the Trump administration when they came in January till now. More than almost close to 350 laboratories in Culiacán, where is the war, have been dismantled. They were talking about big amount. These are small laboratories of fentanyl, which they were creating fentanyl, right? And also, the biggest laboratory that it was discovered in Zacatecas, where more than 40 acres of property, where they could, they basically seized more than 700 million doses of methamphetamine, which it was huge. It was the biggest seize in history. And it was the biggest laboratory possibly in history that it was discovered. And they have been, continuously delivering these statistics and numbers, right? But you actually see the activity and the violence increasing. And a lot of people are saying, why the violence is increasing, Oscar? And we talked about this. Hold on, let me drink a coffee. There's a comment right here. Wow, this is some really incompetent comment. And I don't know when this incompetent comment came about, but I'm reading it. You complain about the crime. Yes. Have a very incompetent government run by cartels. Yes. Talk to me about the Biden administration. How was that run? Your government was run by globalists. And you're going to say, well, Biden was not my president. It was the United States president. I don't care. You want to talk about corrupt government? Let me take you back to Obama. The most corrupt and disgusting president ever existed. Brought the globalist compact on migration to your country, gave billions to Iran so they can give to their proxies that it was basically Hezbollah and Hamas. This is why you have a problem right now. Created the most dirtiest and bloodiest war ever in Mexico, that it was Fast and the Furious. Created more prisons, interior prisons, private prisons for migrants so they can actually be deported and come back, and he was part of it. He was the mass deporter in chief, creating the biggest market of deportations and profitable for the economy for him. You want to talk about that? Or you want to talk about Joe Biden? The guy that basically gave you the most insecure border with corruption, with NGOs, the United Nations, OIM, corrupt judges. You want me to give you that? You want to talk about corruption? Talk to me about AOC, Alexandria Ocasio, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Chuck Schumer, Gavin Newsom, Veronica Escobar. Make me sense. You're talking about make me sense. Who's complaining about the United States getting help? Nobody's complaining about it. I'm just telling you, under the Constitution and law of Mexico, they're not going to allow it. You got to put attention to what I'm saying. This is how disinformation gets out. So, going back to the topic, this is the actual reality. And the reality is how this has escalated. They're delivering statistics to the Trump administration to make them look and to make them understand we're doing something. But it has never been more insecure in some cities than it is right now. As a matter of fact, if you look at this stat that is being shown right here, Tijuana is number 1 right now, and this was publicated on 26th of March of 2025 as the most dangerous cities in the world. This was in 2018, how the homicide rate was up. Look at that. It was incredible. But now, again, Tijuana is on the top 5. 4, violence and delinquency and insecurity. Violence and delinquency and insecurity in the world. In Tijuana, right now, it is the number one city as more insecure city in the country of Mexico. Now, I would like to say this. Why certain, criminal organizations, they are not being categorized as foreign terrorist organizations? Foreign terrorist organizations like a Clan del Golfo from Colombia that smuggled hundreds and thousands of people through a jungle. And a lot of thousands of people died in the middle of the jungle. And El Clan del Golfo is the one that is distributing more cocaine through the world. Who's advising Donald Trump to not categorize El Clan del Golfo as the number one distributor of illegal immigration and hurtful migration through the Darien Gap, where thousands of migrants died, pushing them and making millions and millions and millions of dollars out of human misery, in cahoots with NGOs? Why are these organizations not being categorized as foreign terrorist organizations? Now, you want to talk about what is happening in central parts of our country. A lot of these places, they are out of control. Just recently, I did a live feed about this, how insecure it is. The Mexican convoy of Marines, an army man, was ambushed in the part of Jalisco. And the war extended. Jalisco is on the bottom south, a little bit southeast to the country of Mexico. And Michoacan is on top of it. Michoacan is a place that it is extremely dangerous right now. It is a war zone. In the parts of Aguililla, in the parts of Lázaro Cárdenas, in the parts of Apatzingán, in the parts of Tierra Caliente, the parts of Nueva Italia. All these parts are extremely dangerous. They're controlled by the organized crime. They're controlled by organized groups and convoys, and little convoys that they are part of the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, the CJNG cartel, one of the most violent and atrocious cartel groups possibly in the world. And as the military was doing an inspection, they got ambushed left and right, as they called it over there in the south. They call it topon. That is, two criminal organizations that collide with each other. But this time it was the military with the cartel and the organized crime. They got ambushed. Apparently more than 6 soldiers died on that ambush, on that confrontation. The morning conference of the president was, we're going to try to do something about it. Has there been and this is my question. This is what I'm going to. Has there been a consequence of these actions? Has there been an exposure that we have done this for the honor and respect of these soldiers, that they served our country of Mexico and they died on the honor to try to protect the citizens of Mexico? Has there been a consequence or a repercussion to say, you are not going to control our country? We are the ones that control the security of our citizens. There has been no consequence whatsoever. So for me, if you ask me, we need help. Yes, we need help. But this is a topic that the United States troops, it's against the Constitution of Mexico to come in with the military, but you can force them in so many ways to actually act and do their jobs and protect the citizens of Mexico and decrease the level of violence, and particularly decrease the level of power of the cartel. But the Trump administration is going incorrectly against and going after the wrong people. You need to go after the dirty politicians. That's what you need to go after. Those are the ones that they control the spider web. Those are the ones that they need to be exposed. Senator Lili Tellez from the right-wing political conservative party, she has been exposing the Mexican president. She has been exposing the congressional candidates. She has been exposing the leftist senators who have been involved in potentially minimizing every violent and every action that is occurring with the cartels in the central parts of our country and in the north parts of our country. There's a lot of people that they actually want to come out and expose the corruption that is actually happening in our government. You can extract and extradite kingpins, drug lords, leaders. But that, it is going to continue. It is like the sea coming every time to the shore. And every time, sometimes it's aggressive and sometimes it's calm. But it's always going to be there. They need to be investigating the dirty politicians. And the Trump administration has the power that no administration ever before in history has ever had. And what is the power that I'm talking about? The power that I'm talking about, it is that they have El Chapo Guzman and El Mayo Zambada in their power. And everybody knows who these people are. Chapo Guzman is a drug lord and kingpin. They have all the possibilities and every possibility for the extraction of information. Also, they have El Mayo Zambada, a kingpin and drug lord that also has an enormous information to extract information. Where are the bank accounts? Who has been politically funded? How can we go and eliminate and eradicate this problem? Or how can we block their bank accounts? Or how can we start hitting them in the pockets? That is where it's going to be hurting. But they're actually not doing anything about it as we speak right now. It's just pressure. This is the type of way. This is not going to stop until arrest to dirty politicians and exposure to these dirty politicians continues. As President Trump has said many times, drain the swamp, right? If you thought the swamp in the United States of America is deep, the swamp in Mexico, it goes 80 times more deeper. And that swamp really needs to get exposed. As people are getting upset right here that I'm saying Pam Bondi, why she dropped the lawsuit against Southwest Key Programs, you can actually go to my friend Ryan Mata, which he has a pretty, enormous following, and great following in X, and follow him and try to ask him why Pam Bondi dropped the lawsuit against Southwest Key Programs. If you actually want me for him to come on my broadcast, I will invite him to come on, and we can talk about this. And he can explain why this lawsuit against this NGO was dropped. Now, I would like to explain something with this right here that says, this article was released by The Guardian. It says Mexican president tries to defuse fears of U.S. military intervention. Sheinbaum emphasized his communication with Trump is very good after rejecting offer to send troops to U.S. and Mexico. It's not going to happen. And a lot of people are going to say, like, well, why it's not going to happen? Why it's not going to happen? Because it's against our Constitution. It's against our Constitution. And that's one of the reasons why. And she is basically protecting and justifying that she doesn't want no help because that is a violation of the sovereign nation, and she's trying to protect the sovereignty of Mexico. But actually, as the sovereignty of Mexico is being completely destroyed by the cartel and the interior violence and delinquents and homicides in our country, but she doesn't want no help. Even Bukele offered her for the strategy that is called the strategy Régimen de Excepción. Bukele asked, told her, and even Bukele started coming out and saying these bluntly statements and saying, if you see an organized crime in your country and they're gaining territory and the government knows it, is because the government is allowing it. And that is it. And it's actually correct. If this is growing and if the government is not doing anything about it, it's because the government is part of it or the government is complicit. I will take a couple of comments right here. Says the swamp is deep in the USA, Oscar. I know it is. This is why the USA was chosen to be the spear lead of this world out of darkness. Your last assumption, I don't agree that much. But the swamp is deep in the United States. Yes, absolutely. Basically, the Mexican president is involved with the cartels. Look, she's not involved directly. I can assume that. But somebody else controls the country. And these people that control the country, the conglomerate of people that control the country, the Kingpins are part of it. And they actually know how to control the country. And they actually know, okay, the market is going to move this. It's a business. You need to understand that. It is a business. This is why they continue to keep on going. And there's a lot of, and I would like to address it. There's a lot of infiltration of agents, CIA, FBI, in the country of Mexico. We need to understand that there has been, a lot of these investigations, profound investigations inside of the country. That's actually a reality. She was offered a way out by Trump administration and she rejected. That's not a way out. What are you talking about, a way out? That's not a way out. What are you talking about, a way out? A way out is to let another military to come in and basically intervene in the country. No, you're incorrect. And also, you're saying China controls Mexico. You're incorrect about that. You're incorrect. There goes China's market is in our country, but they don't control our country. You need to understand that. And if you're talking about the fentanyl, because fentanyl, ultimately, the one that they invented fentanyl is China, and it is being infiltrated and penetrated in our country and using the Mexican cartels as mules to basically infest the United States of America. That is actually a reality, but that doesn't have to do with China controls Mexico. That's no. I'm sorry. Says U.S. troops don't belong in Mexico. Well, if I ask, this isn't actually incorrect. This is just a conspiracy theory. Comment. I'm sorry. This is not accurate. CCP controls Mexico. No, I'm sorry. It's like me assuming that the CCP was controlling completely Biden. And how many infiltrated spies you have in your country? Do you know how many times I interviewed migrants from China that they were coming out of the Darien Gap, and I asked them, do you believe that there are spies coming in from China into the United States of America? And they said, yes, some of them. How much is your country controlled by the CCP also? How much is your country controlled? Your country controlled by the CCP? I'm talking about Mexico and the United States of America. How much spies they have come in? There's another migration that nobody has addressed, and nobody has addressed it, immediately, because that was an actual concern when it started happening. Chinese migrants coming in continuously, by not the thousands, the hundreds of thousands coming in through irregular pathways where there was no port of entry. And this is another migration that is being blocked with mass deportations with the federal judges. It is a lot of corruption. So I would like to address some comments right here. Absolutely. Oscar, if Mexico does not make progress, the U.S. may not have an option but to strike some of the operations inside. Let me just address this comment. Everardo Torres Jr., I would like to ask you a question. Who's the number one buyer of fentanyl in the world? Who's the number one distributor of fentanyl in the world? Who's the number one buyer of cocaine in the world? Who's the number one distributor of cocaine in the world? Who's the number one with addiction of fentanyl in the world? Who's the number one addiction of cocaine in their country, in the world? Who's the number one that has more deaths of fentanyl per year? Which country it is? If you can tell me, Everardo. Oh, wait. It is the United States of America. So we got a consumer problem, right? So it's the buyer and the consumer. So it is a bilateral problem. Sadly, right? This is why they're working together to basically eradicate and eliminate this problem. Right? So the level of consume under the Trump administration needs to go down. They need to go down. The level of consume of the United States of America under the Trump administration need to go down, and they need to start busting these conspiracy to distribute groups massively all over the United States of America, all over the 50 plus states. They need to start busting all of these people and stop decreasing the level of trafficking. Also, they need to start putting prevention programs. Also, they need to start, rehabilitation programs that a lot of them, they do not work in the United States of America. Rehabilitation programs for fentanyl. They need to start educating the children in schools about this. This is a thing that we already talked about. And it is extremely important because the majority of the people that they're dying of overdose in the United States of America, it is your youth. It is not people from their 50s, 60s, 70s. No, it is your youth in your teens and your 20s and your early 30s. People that they're extremely young. That is the real, and I have said this so many times. A lot of these progressive mercenary liberals, they do not understand. They complain about a genocide that is going on in Palestine. I understand that. But ultimately, there is a genocide going on in the United States of America. And nobody wants to put attention to that. And what is the actual genocide? More than 100,000 children, more than 100,000 Americans, die every year from fentanyl overdose. Isn't that a genocide? Who's actually doing this purpose? And I will tell you this. There has been, the organized crime in Mexico has said multiple times, fentanyl, it is not for this is why there is not a problem with addiction of fentanyl in Mexico. The problem of addiction is in the United States of America. So the cartels know that it was made to basically infest and contaminate the United States of America. This is an act of war because you're actually it's biochemical warfare. This is why it has to be directed to China. And that is actually being resolved as we speak right now. Read some comments. Okay. Why is it necessary to attack? Why was it necessary to attack the USA? The USA is the spearhead. Many problems, and we can't have anyone else until we help. Nobody's saying otherwise. And who's attacking the United States of America? I'm just telling you facts. Now to say factual information, it hurts everybody's feelings. Mexicans are leaving Mexico to live in the USA. Still. Debatable. Really debatable. I'm leaving Mazatlan, Sinaloa to leave. You live in Mazatlan. She has been there. My fiance is leaving Mazatlan. Yeah, 47 years. And is done dealing. I just came back from there. And I know what you're talking about. And you can confirm this. I just came back from there, from Culiacán. The war has completely affected the businesses, and it has completely affected the market. The economy is basically on a decline because the business is open at 8 o'clock in the morning and they close at 6 o'clock at night. They don't want to work late at night. It is completely affecting, the social class, the lower and middle class families. This war is affecting them. You cannot survive over there because the economy, it is so bad because of the level of violence. You cannot work. Actually, the work hours, they're decreasing to 6 hours, not 8 hours. And, the most aggravating thing about it is the emergency drills that they're doing in elementary schools and junior high schools. These drills are like when it happens an earthquake, children in schools are making these emergency drills as if it was a combat zone with two cartels. This normalization of this conduct, of this violent conduct, it is being penetrated in the heads of children. And so much it is being penetrated that is adapting to be something that is normal, as if it was migrating through the jungle in the Darien Gap, that it was something that it was normal. People will understand, oh, possibly I'm going to die to get to the United States of America, or possibly you're not going to die if I make it or not. Oh, possibly I'm going to get extortion in Central America or not, but it's part of the process. Or possibly I'm going to be, kidnapped in the border of Mexico and the United States by the cartel when I pay them. Or possibly I'm going to make it. And if I make it, I made it. And they normalize this conduct to make it normal. Thanks to this globalist, elitist, leftist, progressive, mercenary, communist, socialist, elitist leaders. They think that that is the way to create a crisis and to create federal funding and to create massive growth funding to basically suck on the teeth of human misery. It is a reality. I'm not even lying about it. When people claim refugee status, it gives the U.S. the right to invade that country. No, incorrect. I'm sorry. Joy Ryan, thank you so much. Our economy is bad too, but this is a plan breakdown to the. Yes, it is part of the plan. It is part of the plan. Shanae, it's like no matter who they catch selling these drugs, they'll be quickly replaced because it's such a big money hole. It's and you're actually correct. It is part of what I was telling you. It's kind of like I was afraid that this could actually be a trickle effect and a domino effect to the United States of America. And when I was being interviewed on networks, they were telling me, "Oh, Oscar, the corrupt politicians in Mexico, they're extremely corrupt." And when Biden was in government, I was saying, "How far of a difference are your border politicians as corrupt as different as the border politicians in Mexico?" They know what is happening. They're allowing it. Do you think Gavin Newsom did not know that hundreds of thousands of Chinese, they were coming in illegally by Jacumba and Jamul? Do you think Veronica Escobar did not know that the train was passing by through El Paso and they were dropping hundreds of thousands of individuals crossing illegally through the United States of America? Do you think the politicians in Rio Grande River did not know that that was a passage for the cartel to continue to just traffic them and how to control smuggle operation into that particular area where the cartel was charging and making millions out of this human misery? Do you think that nobody knew about that? Everybody knew about that. It is so, it's the money, is the power, it is the incredible, in the incredible situation of having control over these kind of circumstances and these kind of policies. They create massive federal funding. It is a reality. Now, the topic of today, what's stopping the Mexican president? That is the question. Last question, 53 minutes going in. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining in. Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News and for my platform. I say always Real America's Voice News, so you can follow our network, Real America's Voice News. What's stopping the Mexican president? The only thing that is stopping her is corruption. That's the solution. We know that the system is corrupt. The judicial system, everything is corrupt. Everything, it is corrupt. And corruption goes deep. Politicians are bought off. And they're basically pushing her into a corner to say, you know what, you cannot, no, don't do it. No, don't do it. Take it calmly. Let's find a strategy and let's do it for ourselves. There is a comment right here. How you doing, Tammy? It says, very true. Same with arrests of cartel members in tourist areas. They have replacements within the week. Yes, I've been saying that. It's kind of like when you take away a kingpin of a cartel and you remove it, the cartel is going to put another one. I have said this before. The number one way to expose and stop decreasing the power of the cartel in Mexico is to expose the dirty politicians. That is where everything relies. That is the number one thing that everything relies on these dirty politicians. By designating some Mexican cartels as terrorists, the USA can launch strikes inside of Mexico. You can designate the cartels as terrorists in Mexico, but put a clause in the Constitution that said you cannot. I will designate them, but under my own terms, and I will not let you in, and I will not authorize you to have a strike on them. It's like what she's trying to do. I've been informing on this. She's not designating the cartels as terrorists because she's trying to change the Constitution for the only ones that can designate them is the state and nobody else. And they will create a name for them, specifically for them, so they will not be designated as terrorists. So actually, what that means to you, if that is being actually trying to be done, what does that mean? So the leftists and the progressive mercenary incompetence, they say, oh, designating as terrorists is nothing. That has nothing to do with the actual distribution of fentanyl. That has nothing. It has all to do, everything to do. You're trying to minimize that because you're trying to scapegoat what is actually the reality. These are terrorist organizations, nobody else. That's it. And if you designate them as terrorists, they will be treated as terrorists. What is taking them so long? It's a lot of corruption. It's a lot of power. And the ones that there are not enabling this to happen are not the cartels. The cartels are the ones that they are actually the profitable money, the market, the ones that they make the money, the machine, the manufacturing of the whole industry. But the ones that they're enabling this are the dirty politicians. And they are the ones that they're not specifically saying, it's a go. Say it. It's a go. They're the ones that they're saying no. Why? Because they're actually protecting their investment. And they want this business to continue. It's a lot of money. We're talking about $1 billion business. I just posted a video. And I think I posted this video in X. Let me see if I can pull it up right here. Let me see if I can pull it up right here on X. If I can pull it up right here on X, I would like for you to see this video. How this is a business. How this is a huge business. And I would like to, let me just see if I can pull it up right here for you guys to basically see this. If I can pull it up right here, I would like for you to see this video. How this was such a profitable business inside of the Darien Gap. How this was a extremely profitable business inside of the Darien Gap. And why I want to pull this? Because I want you to understand, this is just a small little business of trafficking of humans, a small little business of illegal immigration, a small little business of taking advantage of human misery. This small little business was made out of the Biden open border policies. Imagine how much money they're making on fentanyl. Imagine how much money they're making out of trafficking of humans. Imagine how much money are trafficking of children. How much money of every synthetic drug. Imagine how much. The example that I'm going to put you is just of the transportation inside of the jungle. Just that. Not talking about the food, not talking about the clothing, not talking about the exploitation of women, not talking about the exploitation of children. There's so many markets with open border policies. This is why it is a humongous business. And when you're trying to say, I will send the troops, it's like, hey, hold on. There's a lot of businesses right here that you're going to close, man. You can't do that. Why? Because this was one of the business that got actually now closed. And that actually it is not profitable anymore. Look at this video and you will understand what am I talking about. To Miss Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security Chief of the United States of America. This is only a glimpse only just one industry that created millions and then made millions out of this mass migration caused by the Biden administration, and that ultimately the United Nations, in cahoots with the OIM, the UNHCR, with Alejandro Mayorkas, another congressional candidate pushing for open border policies, knew about this industry. This is only one of the industries that it was created inside of the jungle. We documented this as we crossed this dangerous jungle 4 times. My colleague Ben Berquam and myself, on our third trip through the Darien jungle in this year of the year 2023, the government of Panama reported that more than 523,000 migrants crossed. These are migrants that they were documented. The ones that they were not documented, imagine how much it was the quantity. Let me explain you how the migrants were moving from point A to point B, exiting of the jungle. The first village coming out of the jungle, it is called Bajo Chiquito, where migrants will register for a number for them to get a piragua boat. What is a piragua boat? It is kind of like a canoe. This canoes or piraguas are a mode of transportation for the tribes inside of the jungle, for them to go get their groceries and for them to transport themselves inside of the jungle. But it became a really extremely lucrative business, not only for the piragua boats, but also in this village, they were managing, selling also internet, also they were selling food and clothing. This specific place in Bajo Chiquito, the migrants had to pay for a piragua boat for them to transport them 3 hours to the next spot, that it was Lajas Blancas, that it was better known as the United Nations camp. Now, in one day, we saw 116 piraguas coming out of this particular village, that it was Bajo Chiquito. So if you go and multiply every piragua boat or canoe boat, you will multiply $dollars per person. In every piragua boat, you can fit 20 people. It will give you from one piragua revenue of $400. Now, if you multiply $400 in one day 116 times as the 116 piraguas that we documented, it will give you a total of $46,400. That was just one day. Now, if you multiply, Ms. Christine Holm, this on a massive year, that it was a massive flow, more than 523,000 migrants on the year 2023. If you multiply $46,400 per 7 days a week, it will give you a total of $324,800. This is just in 1 week. Now, if you multiply that per 4 weeks, that is 1 month, it will give you a total of $1,299,200. As I mentioned to you, the year 2023 was one of the years that had the highest flow of immigrants through the Darien jungle. If you multiply $1,299,200 per 12 months, it will give you a total of how much? $15,000,000 with $590,000 with $400. This is just in 1 year. That was just 1 year. 1 year only. Just 1 year. You're talking about it under the Biden administration. There were other years that the flow was more gigantic. Millions, millions, millions. You're talking about only piragua boats. Only boats that they were transporting and moving. Look how much money they made. Was this a market? Was this a business? Yes, absolutely, it was a business. Now you're talking about that they want to, you want to intervene and you want to come in and send the troops. It's a business. And these people know about it. And these people know the quantities and the enormous quantities of drugs, the enormous quantities of distribution, the mode operandi that is a complete operation of this distribution of narcotics through the whole country of Mexico. And ultimately, the number one purpose is to drop them into the United States of America. It is a humongous business. And where you're saying that you wanted to intervene with the troops, of course, the number ones that they have the authority to say this, that's to say to this, no, they're not the people that they are distributing. They're not the people that they are actually in charge of the distribution. No, the ones that they are actually saying no are the dirty politicians. This is why there's some politicians in the Senate, right-wing political party, as Lili Tellez, which I admire, to have the boldness and the courage to go in front of the Senate and to call every corrupt politician a narco government. there is a rise on the right-wing political party, and not only that, people around the country of Mexico, that they are realizing what this government it is about. The political party, the socialist political party of Morena, this we speak right now, it is decreasing their power. Everybody knows what they're actually doing. They are now desperate to create these social programs, as to say, there's a program that is called Bienestar, that is the good for living. And she has been giving out stoves, and she has been giving out a special kind of candy that is less addictive. And it has been giving out all of this to rely on the state, to rely on specifically, excuse me, just coming out from bronchitis. Excuse me. To rely on the state, to rely on social programs. This is how a socialist government, it is coming afloat. We started thinking that it could not basically happen, but now that we're seeing the strategy on how she's developing little by little, we can actually say, yes, they're actually doing it. They're actually being a part of it, and it is actually happening. And this strategy doesn't align with what the United States of America is. The United States is a capitalist country. It is not a socialist country. And this is what the American people have been fighting against. So it's not only just the cartels. It is not only sending the help for the cartels or to fight the cartels. It is the other cartel organization that is the one that are wearing the suit and the tie of how they're transforming our country, and not into a peaceful country, into a socialist country with an agenda, with a globalist agenda. And it is a reality. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not creating hysteria, and it is not fear-mongering. It is the reality of what is happening in our country. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News. The coffee app, it is right there pinned in the chat on YouTube for people that want to contribute and to my independent reporting and travel fund. I completely appreciate it. Thank you so much for people that they have been supporting my work. We're going to be traveling soon, hopefully. And we have a big month coming up with people coming over here to Tijuana, big names coming over here to document what is actually happening over here. And also we're going to, potentially leave on the next incoming weeks to another continent, possibly. That's a possibility. We're trying to get there. So thank you so much for everybody to join in. I got a couple of minutes for questions. So if people want to drop a question, go ahead. Let me read a couple of comments right here. Child Protective Services in the USA has been made a business for child trafficking. Híjole, how accurate you are. It is, híjole, it's extremely accurate. Are people selling their kids to be smuggled into America? It's not about that. It's about there's suppositions, and also there's assumptions that some of the people, because they are specifically in need of a lot of economical infrastructure, they are doing something desperate. But there hasn't been a story that we actually can say, yes, they're doing it. Yes, Lorraine. Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Diana, for joining us. Oscar, how's your dog, Rocky? How you doing, Stacy? My dog, Rocky, is actually doing well. We're actually, hold on. Let me see if I can pull up a picture right here for you to see. Let me see. Oh, no, it's not on this one. It's on the other one. So I apologize for that. But yes, he's actually doing great. It's raining right now, so whenever it's raining, I have my dogs inside of the house in one specific room. I don't want them to get sick. It's more expensive when they get sick, so I prefer them to be staying in the house. What do you think of Trump's plans to have a deportation to give? to give individuals, every individual, $1,000. I will talk about it. I will make a show later on this afternoon about this, and we're going to talk about this. How much is going to spend? How much money it is going to be for the United States, and if it is profitable, it's a good solution. And also, if a lot of migrants are going to take the decision to say, I'm out of here, I'll take the $1,000. What are your current prayer requests? What are your current prayer requests? Oh wow, what a question. My friend Matthew Tomlin told me to read Matthew all the time. So I read Matthew all the time. Oscar, how's your health, brother? I was pretty sick for like 3 weeks. When I came back from Culiacán with Ben, I started coughing a lot. Then it turned into a bronchitis. Try to avoid it, get into pneumonia. This has been escalating since I got into the Darien Gap. Something is not right, so I need to do some studies. Drinking that water, that contaminated water, and also getting sick with malaria a couple of times, and one time with dengue, really caused some harm. I'm a guy that does sports every day. I work out every day, run every day, box, go to the boxing ring every day, weights every day, try to continue my life, and eat well and continue to, have a normal life. But something's not okay. So we are trying to find out what is going on. But let's hope for the better, and we're good right now. My voice is kind of rusty, but we are trying to do the best that we can. Thank you for asking, by the way. Thank you so much, Stacy. Thank you so much. Hey, Tijuana border jumper. My Tijuana dog is an indoor dog. Es un perro chiquial, entonces. Thank you for coming back to tell the border truth. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you so much, Barbara. It's Justin Aker. How you doing? You're a good daddy, Oscar. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you so much. Yes, this is one of the things that it's actually a possibility. Check for parasites. Yes, it is actually a possibility. It is actually a big possibility. We don't know. We drank a lot of water from that jungle, and a lot of it was, there was a lot of decomposed bodies, and there was a lot of, debris of human feces, let's say it like that, in the water. So a lot of the times we were filtering water where there was possibly human feces or where there was a decomposed body. And we don't know that. Or, wildlife, monkeys, panthers, all this kind of situation. So it's kind of like a consequence of what we knew that it could possibly happen. When you go into that particular place in the jungle, we knew that there were going to be consequences. The number one consequence is you're going to make it out or you're not. You're going to be alive or you're going to die. Second consequence is the level of repercussions that it's going to have on your health. Your body goes through a torture of 2 times your demand of your body. You make your body go through this torture of exhaustion and physical exhaustion and psychological exhaustion, and this decreases your defenses, and then the viruses come in. So a lot of the times we were drinking ivermectin, we were drinking a lot of vitamins, we were always taking every time that we went to sleep, before we went to sleep in the jungle, we take a ibuprofen 800 milligrams to relax the body, because the body was so cramped up, so basically destroyed by walking more than 12 hours every day. So it's kind of like a consequence of what it was coming. Do you think Mexico should have a Second Amendment? We have it, but it's extremely difficult to get a gun. There's more possibilities to a criminal to get a gun than for a normal average citizen to get it. Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you so much. In Jesus' name, I pray for your health and protection. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you so much. That is beautiful. What do you think about chemtrails in your skies? I don't like to get into those kind of topics, because a lot of people start saying that it's a conspiracy, and a lot of people start thinking that that is not a conspiracy, that is a reality, and a lot of people say it is a conspiracy. So I don't like to get into those topics. That is not my specialty. There's people that they actually know about what is being dropped in the sky, and if there's actually chemtrails or there's not. I see actually all the time over here in Tijuana and in Mexico, we see actually a lot of it. specifically in San Diego, we see a lot of it all the time. So I don't know if that is a reality or not. I don't like to get into those topics because I'm not educated to talk about them. I don't like to speculate on a thing that I don't really know and that it's a speculation or it's not a speculation. Thank you so much for your watching this live feed. Buy Me a Coffee is right there. God bless you. Thank you so much. We will be I will be releasing my book. And I will be releasing my book. Let me see if I have image right here on my book. Let me see if I have the image of my book. We'll be releasing my this right here. Yep, right here. My name is Boulder, The Life of Oscar El Blue Ramirez Between Walls, Routes, and Truths. We will be releasing our book in Amazon. It is going to come out in the next incoming weeks. And it is about our 4 routes through the Darien, our 4 more than 12 caravans that we have been. It is about our experience. It is about what we think about the NGOs, everything that we have seen, and everything that we have broadcast. So it is going to come out. It is going to come out on Amazon. And for people to just want to go and buy it, I will post whenever it's on sale. I think that we're going to post it at $10 only. So it's not going to be expensive. It's going to be cheap. So this is going to be our book. I will post whenever it's going to come out. But I would like to say thank you to all for your endless support. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining in. Oscar Blue saying goodbye and have a good evening. Possibly later on, I will be broadcasting about the $1,000 bonus that the Trump administration is trying to give out for migrants to leave the country. Stay safe, and like we always say, God's plan, it is our mission.